The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was never quiet. Today it was loud with angry voices. Ambassador Veltar stood at the center of the circular room. His blue skin looked pale under the bright lights. The other aliens sat in their tall chairs, looking down at him. Some had too many eyes. Others had no eyes at all. But they all looked angry. "You want us to fear these humans?" High Commander Zexra's voice was like grinding metal. His red armor shined as he leaned forward. "They have no space fleet, no energy weapons. They cannot even leave their own star system without help." Veltar touched the scar on his neck. 3 months ago, he did not have that scar. 3 months ago, he thought humans were just another weak species to add to the Empire. Now he knew better. "I have seen what they can do," Veltar said. His voice was quiet, but everyone could hear him. "They are not like other species. When we capture them, they do not break. They do not beg. They do something worse." "Worse than begging?" Counselor Kethva laughed. Her 6 arms moved like dancing snakes. "What could be worse than that?" "They make you think," Veltar said. The room went quiet for a moment. Then the laughter started. It came from everywhere. The sound bounced off the metal walls and ceiling. Veltar waited for it to stop. "Let me tell you about Captain Lee Dongwu," he said when the room was quiet again. On the prison world of Kethros Prime, the morning was always gray. The twin suns never showed through the thick clouds. Captain Lee Dongwu sat in his small cell. The walls were made of some kind of metal that felt cold to touch. There was a bed, a toilet, and nothing else. Lee had been there for 2 weeks. Every day, the guards came to ask him questions. They wanted to know about Earth's weapons. They wanted to know about the human fleet. They wanted to know where other human colonies were hiding. Lee told them the same thing every day. "I am Captain Lee Dongwu of the Earth Defense Corps. My service number is 7745 Delta 9. That is all I will tell you." The guards tried many things. They did not give him food for 3 days. They played loud sounds that hurt his ears. They showed him pictures of Earth burning. Lee just sat there and looked at them with calm eyes. Guard Captain Thekrin was getting frustrated. He was 7 feet tall with gray skin and 4 arms. He had broken many prisoners before. Humans should be easy. "Your planet is gone," Thekrin said through the bars. "Your people are dead. Your fleet is destroyed. Why do you keep fighting?" Lee looked up at him. "Because that is what humans do. You are alone. No one is coming to save you. I know. Then why not tell us what we want to know? We might let you live." Lee stood up and walked to the bars. He was much shorter than Thekrin, but somehow he did not look small. "I will tell you something," Lee said, "but not what you want to hear." Thekrin leaned closer. Maybe the human was finally breaking. "You made a mistake when you attacked us," Lee said. "Not because we are strong. Not because we have good weapons. You made a mistake because now you have to deal with us. And humans never give up. Ever. You are one prisoner in one cell. What can you do?" Lee smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was something else. Something that made Thekrin step back from the bars. "I can wait," Lee said. "I can watch. I can listen. And every day I am here. I learn more about you, about your people, about your empire. And every day you learn more about humans, about what we really are." That night, Guard Captain Thekrin could not sleep. He kept thinking about the human's words. He thought about the way Lee looked at him, not with hate, not with fear, with something that felt like pity. The next day, Thekrin brought Lee's food himself. He did not usually do this. Lower guards always brought the food. "Why are you not angry?" Thekrin asked as he pushed the tray through the slot. "Should I be angry? We destroyed your world. We killed your people." Lee picked up the piece of bread and looked at it. It was gray and hard, but he ate it anyway. Are you the one who gave the order to attack Earth? Lee asked. No, but I serve those who did. Do you have a choice? Thekrin did not answer right away. In the Kethran Empire, soldiers did not have choices. They followed orders, or they died. No, Thekrin said finally. Then why should I be angry at you? You are as much a prisoner as I am. This was not how prisoners were supposed to talk. Thekrin had guarded thousands of prisoners from hundreds of worlds. They cursed him. They spat at him. They tried to hurt him through the bars. They did not talk to him like he was a person. Over the next few days, something strange happened. Other guards started coming to look at the human. They had heard stories. They wanted to see for themselves. Lee talked to all of them, not about Earth's secrets. He talked about their lives. He asked about their families. He listened when they complained about their commanders. He remembered their names. Guard Nalvek had 3 children back home. He had not seen them in 2 years. Lee asked about them every day. Guard Satan was sick, but the doctors would not help her because she was only a low-rank soldier. Lee shared his medicine when she coughed. Guard Pelrin was young and scared. This was his first assignment. Lee told him stories about home to help him sleep. Word spread through the prison. The human in cell block 7 was different. He did not act like other prisoners. Soon, guards from other blocks came to see him too. Administrator Kovlek noticed the change first. Guards were taking longer to finish their rounds. They were talking more to each other. Some were even smiling. This had never happened before. "What is going on in cell block 7? He asked Guard Captain Thekrin. Thekrin hesitated. How could he explain? The human prisoner is, unusual. Unusual how? He treats us like we are people. Administrator Kovlek stared at him. What? He listens to us. He cares about our problems. He never asks for anything, but he shares what little he has. That night, Administrator Kovlek went to see the human himself. Lee was sitting on his bed, looking out the small window at the gray sky. I am Administrator Kovlek, he said. Hello, Administrator Kovlek. I am Lee. You are causing problems. In my prison. I'm sorry to hear that. What kind of problems? Kovlek expected the human to be afraid or angry. Instead, Lee sounded genuinely concerned. My guards are acting strange. They smile now. They talk about you. Is that bad? Yes. Guards should not care about prisoners. Lee was quiet for a moment. Then he looked at Kovlek through the bars. Do you care about your guards? They are tools. They do their job. Do tools have families? Do tools get sick? Do tools have dreams? Kovlek did not answer. He walked away, but Lee's questions followed him. Back in the Galactic Council chambers, Ambassador Veltar finished his story. That human has been in our prison for 3 months now, he said. He has never broken. He has never begged. He has never even raised his voice in anger. But he has done something far worse. What? High Commander Zexra asked. His voice was not as confident as before. He has made our guards think of themselves as people instead of tools. He has made our administrators question their orders. He has made everyone who meets him wonder if there might be a better way to live. The room was very quiet now. This is what humans do, Veltar continued. They do not just fight with weapons. They fight with ideas. They plant seeds in your mind that grow into questions. And once you start asking questions about the Empire, about your life, about whether there might be something better, you can never stop. One prisoner cannot destroy an empire, Counselor Kethva said, but her voice was not sure. No, Veltar, agreed. But humans are never just one prisoner. They are everywhere now, in our ships, in our prisons, in our cities, and every single one of them carries the same dangerous idea. What idea? That everyone deserves to be free, that everyone deserves to be happy. that everyone can choose to be better than they are today. Ambassador Veltar looked around the room at all the powerful beings who ruled the galaxy. I came here to warn you. Do not attack the humans, because once you do, they will never let you go. Not as prisoners, but as people who could be better than what you are now, and that is the most dangerous thing of all. The stars looked different today. Commander Park Ji-ho had been watching the night sky for 30 years, but something was wrong. 3 new stars had appeared near Jupiter, and stars did not just appear. Sir, we are getting strange readings from the outer system, Lieutenant Kim Yoo-jin said from her station on the bridge. The Earth defense ship Harmony was humanity's newest deep space patrol vessel. It was also their only deep space patrol vessel. Park moved to look at her screen. The readings made no sense. 3 objects, each the size of a small moon, were moving toward Earth. They were not asteroids. They were too regular, too perfect. Send a message to Earth Command, Park said. Tell them we have visitors. Dr. Kim Na-ri was eating breakfast when her phone rang. She was Earth's lead expert on the possibility of alien life. For 20 years, she had dreamed of this moment. Now that it was here, she felt scared. Are you sure? She asked Director Chen on the phone. The objects are definitely artificial. They are slowing down as they approach our solar system. This is it, Nari. This is first contact. Nari dropped her coffee cup. It broke on the kitchen floor, but she did not notice. She was already running to get dressed. 2 hours later, she was on a shuttle to the orbital command station above Earth. Through the window, she could see the 3 alien ships. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time. They looked like crystals made of silver light. What do we know about them? She asked Admiral Song Woo-jin when she arrived. They stopped just outside our defense grid. They have not responded to any of our messages. They have not scanned us or done anything aggressive. They are just waiting. Waiting for what? We think they want us to make the first move. Dr. Kim Na-ri had prepared for this moment her whole life. She knew what to say, how to be peaceful, how to show that humans were friendly and intelligent. The first message came 3 hours later. It was not what anyone expected. People of Earth. The voice was calm and clear. It spoke perfect English, then repeated the same words in Chinese, Spanish, Arabic, and a dozen other languages. I am Speaker Velnath of the Zephyrian Coalition. You will surrender your world and your people to our empire. You have 1 day to decide. The command center went very quiet. Admiral Song looked at Dr. Kim Na-ri. So much for peaceful first contact. Nari stepped forward to the communication panel. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. Speaker Velnath, this is Dr. Kim Na-ri representing Earth. We are honored to meet another intelligent species. We would like to open peaceful talks with your people. The response came quickly. There will be no talks. You will surrender, or we will take your world by force. These are your only choices. Why? Nari asked. What have we done to you? You exist in space that belongs to the Coalition. Your species will serve our empire, or it will be destroyed. Choose quickly. Admiral Song stepped up to the microphone. This is Admiral Song of the Earth Defense Forces. We will not surrender. If you want our world, you will have to fight for it, as you wish. The communication ended. On the screens, the 3 alien ships began to move toward Earth. Captain Yang Minho was eating lunch when the alarm sounded. All pilots were to report to their fighters immediately. He ran through the corridors of Luna Base, pulling on his flight suit as he moved. What is the situation? He asked his squadron leader. 3 alien ships are attacking Earth. We are going to stop them, Yang laughed, but it was not a happy sound. 12 fighters against 3 ships the size of moons? This should be interesting. The human fighters launched from Luna Base like angry wasps. They were fast and small, but they looked like toys next to the massive alien vessels. The lead Zephyrian ship was close enough now that Yang could see details on its surface. It was covered in weapon ports. All fighters, this is Admiral Song, the voice crackled in Yang's helmet. You are not expected to win this fight. You are expected to make them remember it. Understood, sir, Yang replied. All squadrons, attack formation. Let us show these aliens what humans can do. The first beam of energy from the alien ship was brighter than the sun. It cut through space and struck Luna Base. The entire moon shook. Parts of the base exploded outward into space. Yang watched his home burn and felt something cold settle in his chest. It was not fear. It was something else. Something that had been sleeping in humans for thousands of years. They destroyed Luna. Base, his wingman Choi Hyun-soo said over the radio. Yes, they did, Yang replied. Now let us make sure they regret it. The human fighters attacked. Their weapons were small compared to the alien ships, but they were fast and hard to hit. They darted between the massive vessels like mosquitoes, stinging and moving before the aliens could swat them. Yang's fighter screamed toward the lead ship. His missiles would not do much damage, but they would do some. Every little bit helped. Target their weapon ports, he called to his squadron. If we cannot destroy them, we can at least give them a headache. The alien ships responded with more. Energy beams. They cut through space, chasing the small human fighters. One beam caught Lieutenant Park's fighter. Yang watched it explode in a ball of fire. Park is down, someone said over the radio. Copy that. Keep fighting. More beams. More fighters destroyed. Yang's squadron of 12 became 10, then 8, then 5. But they kept attacking. They kept stinging the giant ships. Why are they not running? Speaker Velnath asked his weapons officer. Their ships are no match for ours. They cannot win. I do not know, sir. They keep attacking even when we destroy their fighters. On the screen, another human fighter exploded. But before it died, it managed to destroy one of their weapon ports. It was a small victory, but the humans celebrated it like they had won the war. These creatures are either very brave or very stupid, Velnath said. His second-in-command, Sub-Speaker Krinval, was watching the tactical display. Sir, something is wrong. What? Look at their attack pattern. They are not trying to destroy us. They are trying to disable our weapons, and they are recording everything. Velnath looked closer at the data. The human fighters were equipped with sensors that were analyzing every shot fired, every movement made, every weakness shown. Even as they died, they were learning. They are gathering intelligence, he realized. Yes, sir. Every time we fire, they learn more about our weapons. Every time we move, they learn more about our ships. They are losing the battle, but they are winning the information war. Yang's fighter was the last one left. His fuel was almost gone, and his weapons were empty. The 3 alien ships hung in space like sleeping giants. Luna Base was a cloud of debris. Earth's orbital defense stations were damaged or destroyed. He had lost. Humanity had lost. But Yang did not feel defeated. This is Captain Yang Min-ho. To all Earth forces, he said into his radio, the enemy ships have the following weaknesses. He spent his last few minutes of fuel describing everything he had learned about the alien vessels. Their blind spots, their weapon cycles, their movement patterns. When he finished, he turned his fighter toward the lead alien ship. If you want to destroy us, he said, knowing the aliens could hear him, you will have to catch us first. He pushed his engines to full power and flew straight at the massive vessel. His fighter was like a bullet aimed at a mountain, but Yang did not care. He was sending a message. The alien beam caught him just before he reached their hull. His fighter exploded. In a flash of light, Speaker Velnath stared at the space where the human fighter had been. What was that supposed to accomplish? He knew he could not hurt us. Sub-Speaker Krinval was quiet for a moment. I think it was a statement, sir. What kind of statement? That they are not afraid of us. That they will fight us even when they cannot win. That they would rather die fighting than live surrendering. Velnath looked at the planet below. It was blue and white and beautiful. It looked peaceful. But the species that lived there had just proven they were anything but peaceful. Send a Message to their planet, he said. Tell them we will accept their surrender now. The response came from Dr. Kim Nari. Her voice was tired but strong. Speaker Velnath, we have seen what you can do to us. You are stronger than we are. Your ships are bigger. Your weapons are more powerful. But we will not surrender. Then we will destroy your cities one by one until you change your mind. Then you will destroy our cities one by one, but we will not surrender. Why? You cannot win. Because winning is not the point. The point is that you will never have us. You can kill us, but you cannot make us yours. Every human you capture will resist you. Every city you take will cost you. Every day you stay here will be a fight. Dr. Nari paused, then continued. You wanted a quick victory. You wanted us to be afraid and give up. But now you have a war, and humans are very good at war. Speaker Velnath looked at his command staff. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. It was always the same. Show overwhelming force. Demand surrender. Most species gave up immediately. Those that did not gave up after the first demonstration. Humans were different. They had seen their defenses destroyed. They had watched their fighters die. They knew they could not win. But they were still fighting. Sir, Sub-Speaker Krinval said quietly, maybe we should consider their surrender terms. They have no terms. They are the ones being conquered. Lieutenant Choi Soo-jin crouched behind the broken wall and listened to the alien voices. She had been hiding in the ruins of Seoul for 3 weeks now. The Zephyrian forces had taken the city, but they had not taken her. Sector 7 is clear, one alien said in their clicking language. Soo-jin had learned enough of their words to understand basic conversations. It was useful when planning ambushes. No human survivors? The second alien asked. None found. They all evacuated before we arrived. Soo-jin smiled. That was mostly true. Most humans had escaped when the aliens attacked. But some had stayed behind. Not to die, but to watch and learn. She waited until the patrol moved past, then slipped out of her hiding place. The abandoned building had been a school before the war. Now it was her base of operations. She climbed to the 3rd floor and checked her equipment, maps of alien patrol routes, recordings of their communications, photos of their weapons and vehicles. In 3 weeks, she had gathered more intelligence about the Zephyrian forces than their own commanders probably had. But intelligence was not enough. She needed to do something with it. Soo-jin opened her backpack and pulled out a small device. It looked like a radio, but it was much more powerful. It could reach other human, resistance cells anywhere on Earth, and even some of the refugee ships that had escaped to other star systems. This is Raven 7 to all stations, she whispered into the device. I have new information about enemy positions in Sector Sol Alpha. Responses came from around the world. London, Cairo, Sydney, Mexico City. Everywhere the aliens had landed. Humans had stayed behind to watch them. Raven 7, this is Eagle 3 in London, came a voice she recognized. It was Captain Park Tae-woo, who had been her instructor at the academy. What do you have for us? The Zephyrians are having supply problems. They expected quick surrender, so they did not bring enough food and fuel for a long occupation. Their convoys are running regular routes to their landing sites. Understood. We are seeing the same thing here. Are you ready for Phase 2? Soo-jin looked out the window at the alien camp in the distance. Hundreds of Zephyrian soldiers were visible, along with their vehicles and equipment. They thought they were safe in their conquered city. They were wrong. Ready for Phase 2, she confirmed. Phase 2 was not about fighting the aliens. The human resistance had learned quickly that direct combat was useless. The Zephyrians were too strong, too well-armed, too numerous. Phase 2 was about something else entirely. That night, Soo-jin made her way through the dark streets to the alien prison camp on the outskirts of the city. It was heavily guarded, But she was not planning to break in. She was planning to break out, not the human prisoners, the alien ones. The Zephyrian coalition was an empire, which meant they had conquered many other species before humans. Their prison camps held not just captured humans, but also rebels and political prisoners from dozens of other worlds. Su-Jin had spent 2 weeks studying the camp layout. She knew where the guards were stationed. She knew when they changed shifts. Most importantly, she knew where they kept the non-human prisoners. She crawled through the drainage pipe that ran under the camp's eastern wall. It was tight and smelled terrible, but it brought her right to the prisoner barracks. Through a small grate, she could see inside. The aliens there did not look like the Zephyrian soldiers. These were different species. Some were small and covered in fur. Others were tall and thin with too many arms. All of them looked tired and hopeless. Su-Jin tapped softly on the grate. One of the prisoners, a creature with blue skin and large eyes, noticed the sound and came closer. "Who are you?" it whispered in broken Zephyrian. Su-Jin had learned that most species in the coalition used Zephyrian as a common language. "I am human," Su-Jin whispered back. "I am here to help." The creature's eyes went wide. "Human? But humans are primitive. Humans have no technology. Humans have something better than technology," Su-Jin said. "We have stubbornness." She pushed a small package through the grate. Inside were maps of the local area, instructions for reaching the human, resistance hideouts, and most importantly, detailed records of every prisoner in the camp. "What is this?" the blue-skinned alien asked. "Your freedom. Tomorrow night the guards on the north wall will be distracted. The fence will have a hole cut in it. You can escape." "Why? Why help us? We are not your people." Su-Jin thought about that question. It was a good one. These aliens were not human. Their worlds were far away. Their freedom would not help Earth win the war. "Because the enemy of my enemy is my friend," she said finally. "And because everyone deserves to be free." The next night, 43 alien prisoners escaped from the Soul Camp. They disappeared into the ruins of the city, guided by Su-Jin's maps to resistance safe houses. From there, some would be smuggled off-world to spread word of the human resistance. Others would stay to fight alongside the humans. But the most important thing was what they left behind. When the Zephyrian guards discovered the escape, they also found something else. Hidden throughout the prisoner barracks were small data devices. Each one contained detailed records of every prisoner who had ever been held in a coalition camp. Names, species, homeworlds, families, crimes. The records showed something the coalition had tried to hide. Most of the prisoners were not criminals or rebels. They were teachers, artists, scientists, and ordinary citizens whose only crime was asking questions or speaking out against the Empire. Guard Captain Theka Kor was the first to read the complete files. He had been a guard for 10 years and thought he knew what kind of criminals he was watching. The records showed him the truth. The small, furry creatures were teachers who had refused to use coalition-approved textbooks. The tall, thin aliens were artists who had painted pictures the government did not like. The blue-skinned ones were scientists who had published research that contradicted official policy. "Sir," he said to his commander, "I think there has been a mistake with the prisoner classifications." Commander Veltrak looked at the files TechCorps brought him. "What kind of mistake?" "These are not dangerous criminals. Most of them are just people who disagreed with the government. Disagreeing with the government is a crime." "Yes, sir. But some of these prisoners were arrested for teaching children how to read in their native language. Others were imprisoned for helping sick people without government permission. How is that dangerous?" Commander Veltrak stared at the files. He had been in the coalition military for 20 years. He had never questioned his orders before. Guards were not supposed to think about whether prisoners deserved to be imprisoned. They were just supposed to guard them. But the humans had left these records for a reason. They wanted the guards to read them. They wanted the guards to think. about what they were doing. "It is not our job to decide who deserves to be imprisoned," Veltrak said, but his voice was not as certain as usual. "Yes, sir. But if we are not guarding criminals, what are we doing?" That question spread through the prison like a virus. Guards began reading the files of every prisoner they watched. They learned about families torn apart for political beliefs. They learned about children imprisoned for their parents' crimes. They learned about scientists executed for discovering inconvenient truths, and once they learned these things, they could not forget them. Meanwhile, the escaped prisoners were making their way across the ruined landscape of Earth. They had expected to find a broken world full of defeated humans. Instead, they found something very different. The humans were not defeated. They were organized. In the underground tunnels beneath Paris, former prisoner Klixva met with a human resistance cell, led by Major Oh Hyunwoo. "We want to join your fight," Klixva said. Her species looked like walking flowers, with petals instead of hair and roots instead of feet. "What can you tell us about coalition military tactics?" Oh asked. "Everything. I was a military strategist before my arrest. I know their weaknesses. What about their prison systems, their supply lines, their political structure, all of it? But why do you want to know about politics? This is a war." Oh smiled. It was the expression Klixva had never seen on a coalition. World. It was hopeful and dangerous at the same time. "This is not just a war," Oh said. "This is a revolution. We are not just fighting to free Earth. We are fighting to free everyone." Across the galaxy, the information the humans had gathered was spreading. Escaped prisoners carried stories of human kindness to other worlds. They told of a species that fought not just for themselves, but for the freedom of all people. On the industrial world of Keth Prime, factory workers heard about humans who had died protecting alien prisoners. On the farming colonies of the Vel system, farmers learned about humans who shared their food with enemy soldiers. On the trading stations near the galactic core, merchants whispered about humans who forgave their captors and treated them like friends. The coalition had ruled through fear for centuries. People obeyed because they were afraid of punishment. But the humans were showing them something different. They were showing them that some things were worth fighting for, no matter the cost. Admiral Yoon Tae-min commanded the largest human refugee fleet, 50 ships carrying 2 million survivors of Earth's evacuation. The Zephyrian fleet was chasing them through space, but Yoon was not running in a straight line. Private Kang Hyewan had been in the maximum security prison on Zephyros Prime for 4 months. The cell was small and dark, with walls that hummed with energy to prevent escape. She shared it with 3 other humans: Sergeant Lim Jae-sung, Corporal Wa, Baek Min-seo, and Dr. Shin A-ra. They were some of the first humans captured in the war, and the Zephyrians had hoped to learn about human weaknesses from them. Instead, they had learned something else entirely. "Good morning, Guard Yextal," Kang said, as the alien brought their daily meal. "How is your daughter feeling today?" The tall, crystalline being paused at the cell door. "She is still sick. The doctors say there is nothing they can do." "I am sorry to hear that. Have they tried the medicine I told you about?" "The doctors say human medicine is primitive and useless." Kang stood up and walked to the bars. She was much smaller than the alien guard, but somehow she did not look weak. "The doctors are wrong," she said gently. "Not about human medicine being primitive. We know our technology is far behind yours, but they are wrong about it being useless." "How? Can you be sure?" "Because medicine is not just about technology, it is about caring for people, and humans have been caring for sick children for thousands of years." Guard Yextal had been working in the prison for 6 years. He had never talked to prisoners about his personal life before. It was against regulations. But something about the humans made him forget about regulations. "The medicine you described," he said quietly. "Where would I find it?" "Any human settlement would have it. But I know you cannot go there. Let me write down how to make it. The ingredients should be available on your world." Yextal looked around to make sure no other guards were watching, then handed her a piece of paper and a writing tool through the bars. Kang wrote down a simple recipe for children's fever medicine. "Thank you," Yextal said, taking the paper back. "It is nothing. I hope your daughter feels better soon." That night, Yextal made the medicine using ingredients from his kitchen. His daughter's fever broke within hours. For the first time in weeks, she smiled at him. The next day, he brought extra food to the human prisoner's cell. "Why?" Kang asked when she saw the larger portions. "Because you helped my daughter when you had no reason to. Because you are supposed to be my enemy, but you acted like my friend." This was the infection that Coalition High Command had begun to fear. Not a disease of the body, but a disease of the mind. The humans were spreading dangerous ideas about kindness, cooperation, and the value of individual lives. Colonel Bae Soon-Ki was the highest-ranking human prisoner on Zephyros Prime. He was held in solitary confinement in the deepest part of the prison. The Zephyrians brought him visitors sometimes, coalition officers who wanted to understand human psychology. Today's visitor was Administrator Kenthvar, the prison's second-in-command. He was a veteran of many wars and had broken thousands of prisoners from dozens of species. "You have been here for 3 months, Kenthvar said, settling into the chair across from Bae's cell. "Have you given any thought to cooperation?" "I cooperate every day," Bae replied. "I eat the food you bring me. I follow your rules. I answer your questions when they are reasonable. You know what I mean. Information about human military capabilities, defense plans, weapon locations." Bae shook his head. "I cannot give you that information. Cannot or will not. Both. I cannot betray my people, and I will not help you conquer other worlds." Kenthvar studied the human. Bae did not look like a dangerous enemy. He was middle-aged, with gray hair and tired eyes. He spent his days reading books that the guards brought him, and he was always polite to everyone he met. "You realize that your resistance is pointless," Kenthvar said. "Your world is conquered. Your fleets are scattered. Your people are prisoners or refugees. What are you fighting for?" "I am fighting for the same thing I have always fought for. The right of people to choose their own lives. People already have that right. They can choose to serve the coalition willingly, or they can be forced to serve." Bae looked at him with something that might have been pity. "That is not a choice. That is just picking which kind of slavery you prefer. The coalition brings order to the galaxy, peace, prosperity." "Whose peace? Whose prosperity?" Bae asked. "The guards tell me their families back home are poor and hungry. The prisoners tell me their worlds are strip-mined to feed the coalition's war machine. Where is this prosperity you speak of?" Kenthvar did not answer right away. He had been in the coalition military for 30 years. He had seen many worlds brought into the empire. They were always told that conquest would bring peace and prosperity, but somehow those benefits never seemed to reach ordinary people. "The coalition has ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years, he said finally. "It must be doing something right." Has it? Or has it just been very good at stopping people from imagining something better? That night, Kenthvar found himself unable to sleep. He kept thinking about Bae's words. He had never questioned the coalition system before. It was simply the way things were. But now he was wondering, what if there was another way? Dr. Shin Ara was Earth's former ambassador to the United Nations. Before the war, she had spent her life trying to solve conflicts through diplomacy and negotiation. Now she was a prisoner, but she was still trying to solve conflicts. "Guard Captain Rexavon," she called as the officer passed her cell. "May I speak with you for a moment?" Rexavon stopped. He was not supposed to talk to prisoners, but the humans always seemed to have something interesting to say. "What is it?" "I have been watching the guards, and I notice something troubling. Many of them seem unhappy. That is not your concern." "Perhaps not. But I am curious. In my experience, unhappy people do not do their best work. And when guards are not doing their best work, Prisons become dangerous places. Rexavon frowned. What are you suggesting? I am suggesting that you might want to find out why your guards are unhappy, and perhaps consider whether there is something you could do about it. I am not a counselor. I am a military officer. Yes, but you are also a leader, and leaders take care of their people. That evening, Rexavon did something he had never done before. He sat down with his guards and asked them how they were feeling. What he learned surprised him. The guards were tired of imprisoning people who seemed harmless. They were disturbed by the prisoner files the humans had left behind. They were beginning to question whether the Coalition's enemies were really as dangerous as they had been told. The humans are not what we expected, Guard Yextal said. They are kind. They care about our problems. They treat us like people, instead of just uniforms. They are our enemies, Rexavon reminded him. Are they? They have never tried to hurt me. They have never even raised their voices in anger. The only thing they have done is make me think about whether what we are doing is right. Similar conversations were happening throughout the prison. The humans had been there for months now, and their influence was spreading like ripples in a pond. Guards were questioning orders. Administrators were reviewing policies. Even the warden was beginning to have doubts. Warden Krelyath had run Zephyros Prime's maximum security prison for 10 years. It was the most secure facility in the Coalition, holding the most dangerous political prisoners from across the galaxy. He had never had problems with prisoner uprisings or guard rebellions. Until the humans arrived. Sir, his deputy reported, we have another problem. 3 more guards have requested transfers. They say they no longer feel comfortable working here. Why? They say the human prisoners are making them question their duties. They are asking whether it is right to imprison people for political beliefs. Krelyath rubbed his head with 2 of his 4 hands. What are the humans doing to them? Nothing, sir. That is the problem. They are not doing anything except being human. What does that mean? They are kind to everyone they meet. They share what little they have. They listen to people's problems and try to help. They treat their captors like friends instead of enemies. Krelyath stood up and walked to his window. Outside, he could see the prison yard where some of the human prisoners were allowed to exercise. They were talking with the guards, sharing stories and laughing together. It looked wrong. Guards and prisoners were not supposed to be friends. The system depended on clear divisions between those who had power and those who did not. Sir, his deputy continued, there is something else. The humans have been teaching other prisoners about their concepts of rights and freedoms. The alien prisoners are becoming more difficult to manage. How so? They are demanding better food, better medical care, access to books and communication with their families. They say these are basic rights that all beings should have. Those are not rights. Those are privileges that must be earned. Yes, sir, but the prisoners no longer seem to understand the difference. That afternoon, Warden Krelyath went to see Colonel Bay personally. He found the human reading a book about philosophy that one of the guards had brought him. You are causing problems. In my prison, Krelyath said. Bay looked up from his book. I am sorry to hear that. What kind of problems? My guards are becoming soft. My prisoners are becoming demanding. The whole system is breaking down. That sounds difficult. How can I help? 2 years had passed since the first human ship appeared in Coalition space. Major Oh Hyun Woo stood on the bridge of the Liberation, watching the great fleet that surrounded his vessel. But this was not a human fleet anymore. Ships from 100 worlds flew together. Former Coalition vessels sailed alongside human refugee ships. Alien species that had been enemies for centuries now worked as allies. And at the center of it all were the humans, not as conquerors, but as the spark that had started a galactic revolution. Sir, reported Commander Yextal, the former prison guard who now served as O's second-in-command, the Galactic Council has agreed to meet with us. All of them? Yes, sir. Even the Zephyrian representatives. They want to discuss terms. O smiled. 2 years ago, he had been a resistance fighter hiding in the ruins of Paris. Now he was leading a coalition of free worlds to negotiate the future of the galaxy. Very well. Set course for Council Station. It is time to finish what we started. The council chamber looked different than it had 2 years ago. Many of the old rulers were gone, replaced by representatives chosen by their people, instead of appointed by imperial decree. The Zephyrian delegation sat in a corner, looking small and uncertain. Ambassador Veltar, who had first warned the council about humans, now served as mediator. His blue skin had grown paler over the past months as he watched his predictions. "Come true. This gathering will come to order," he announced. "We are here to discuss the proposal presented by the Human Liberation Coalition." Major O stood at the center of the chamber. Around him sat beings from hundreds of worlds, species that had been conquered, oppressed, or enslaved by various empires. All of them were now free, and all of them were here because humans had shown them that freedom was possible. "Honored delegates," O began. 2 years ago, humanity was attacked without warning or provocation. We were told to surrender or be destroyed. We chose a third option, to fight for the right of all beings to choose their own path. "You destroyed the coalition," Speaker Velnath of the Zephyrians said bitterly. "You turned our own people against us. You corrupted our military and civilian populations with your dangerous ideas. We offered them a choice," O replied calmly. "We showed them that they did not have to live in fear, that they did not have to follow orders that went against their conscience, that they could be better than what their system demanded. You caused chaos, rebellion, the collapse of order. We caused change, and change is always chaotic for those who benefit from the old system." From the Zephyrian section, a new voice spoke up. It was Colonel Krental, who had once commanded coalition forces, but now represented the Zephyrian liberation movement. "Speaker Velnath," he said, "the humans did not corrupt us. They freed us. They showed us that we could choose to be something other than tools of conquest. You are a traitor to your own species." "No. I am finally loyal to the best parts of my species. The parts that care about justice and compassion instead of just power." O stepped forward. "We are not here to assign blame or punish anyone. We are here to build something better." He activated a holographic display that showed the current state of the galaxy. Where the Coalition's territory had once been, there were now dozens of independent worlds and voluntary alliances. "The old system is gone," O continued. "It collapsed not because we destroyed it with weapons, but because people chose to stop supporting it. The question now is, what do we build to replace it?" Councillor Kethva, representing one of the older galactic powers, spoke up. "You want us to abandon thousands of years of established order. How do we know your way is better?" "Look around." "This chamber," O said. 2 years ago, most of the beings here were prisoners, slaves, or subjects of empires they had no voice in. Today, they are free citizens of worlds they help to govern. They are here not because they were ordered to be, but because they chose to be. But how do we maintain peace without strong central authority?" asked Representative Pelvar from the Outer Rim territories. "How do we prevent wars between worlds?" Dr. Shin A-Ra, now serving as Earth's chief diplomat, stood to answer. She had been released from prison 6 months ago when the Zephyrian government collapsed, but she bore no anger toward her former captors. "The same way we prevented war here. Today," she said, "by talking to each other, by treating each other as equals, by remembering that we all want the same basic things, safety for our families, food for our children, and the chance to live our lives in peace." "That is very idealistic," said Chancellor Rixamol from the Core Worlds. "But what happens when diplomacy fails? What happens when someone chooses conquest over cooperation?" "Then we stop them," O said simply. Not to punish them, but to protect the innocent. And we do it together, as free allies rather than subjects of an empire. You want to replace the coalition with an alliance of equals? We want to replace the coalition with freedom. What each world does with that freedom is up to them. From across the chamber, Captain Lee Dong-woo rose to speak. He had been the first human prisoner, the one whose calm defiance had started everything. His words in that cell on Kethros Prime had been the seed that grew into galactic revolution. Honored delegates, he said, you ask what guarantees we can offer that this new system will work better than the old one. I can offer you only one guarantee, that you will have the power to change it if it does not serve you. What do you mean? I mean that power will belong to the people, not to their rulers. If a government becomes corrupt, the people can replace it. If an alliance becomes oppressive, the worlds can leave it. If a leader stops serving their people, the people can choose a new leader. That sounds like chaos, Chancellor Rixmol protested. It sounds like freedom, corrected Representative Yilmin, a young delegate from one of the recently liberated worlds. For the first time in my life, my people have a voice in how we are governed. That is not chaos, that is democracy. The debate continued for hours, but O could see the tide turning. Most of the delegates were beings who had lived under imperial rule their entire lives. The idea of self-governance was new and frightening to them, but it was also hopeful. Finally, Ambassador Veltar called for a recess. As the delegates filed out to consider what they had heard, O found himself approached by an unexpected visitor. It was Warden Krelyath, the former commander of Zephyros Prime's maximum security prison. He looked older than O remembered, but there was something different in his eyes, something that might have been peace. Major O, he said, I wanted to thank you. Thank me? For what? For showing me that there was another way to live. I spent 10 years running that prison, convincing myself that I was maintaining order and protecting society. Your people showed me that I was just perpetuating suffering. What are you doing? Now, I run a school on New Zephyros. We teach children about different cultures and ways of life. We teach them to think for themselves and question authority when it asks them to do wrong things. O smiled. That sounds like important work. It is, and it exists because humans refused to hate us, even when we gave you every reason to. As the council session resumed, O noticed something remarkable. The former enemies were sitting together now, talking quietly and sharing ideas. Zephyrian delegates sat next to human representatives. Coalition worlds discussed trade agreements with their former subjects. Species that had never trusted each other were finding common ground. This was what humans had always been fighting for, not victory, but understanding. Not conquest, but cooperation. Not revenge, but redemption. The final vote was not even close. By overwhelming majority, the Galactic Council voted to dissolve the old imperial system and replace it with a voluntary confederation of free worlds. Each planet would govern itself according to its own values and needs. Disputes would be resolved through negotiation and mediation. Military force would be used only to protect the innocent from those who chose aggression over diplomacy. But the most important change was not written in any treaty or law. It was the change in how beings thought about each other. The humans had taught the galaxy that enemies could become friends, that understanding was more powerful than force, and that everyone, no matter what they had done before, could choose to be better. As the ceremony concluded, O found himself standing with his old command team. Captain Lee Dong-woo, Dr. Shin A-ra, Lieutenant Choi Soo-jin, and dozens of others who had survived the war. So what now? Soo-jin asked. We have changed. The galaxy. What is left to do? Everything, O replied. We have shown people that change is possible. Now we have to help them figure out what to do with their freedom. That could take generations. Yes, but that is fine. Humans are patient. We can wait as long as it takes. Dr. Ara looked out the great windows at the ships in the harbor. Vessels from 100 worlds, all flying the flag of the new Galactic Alliance, all crewed by beings who had chosen cooperation over conquest. "You know," she said, "I think we kept our promise." "What promise?" "The one Captain Lee made in that prison cell 2 years ago. He said that once the aliens attacked us, we would never release them. And we did not. We did not capture them either. No. We did something better. We captured their imagination. We showed them what they could become if they chose to be better than what they were.